Childhood. It's supposed to be a time of scraped knees, endless summer afternoons, and worries no bigger than a forgotten piece of homework. It's a time of growth, of learning, of boundless potential. The last thing any of us associate with childhood is cancer, and certainly not a cancer that we've always been told is a disease of our parents and grandparents. The happy music fades slightly, becoming more thoughtful and serious. We see a close-up shot of a 12-year-old child looking pensive, holding their stomach. But what if I told you that a concerning new reality is emerging? That a disease we've long filed away as an old person's problem is quietly finding its way into the youngest, most vulnerable members of our society. We're talking about colorectal cancer, and shockingly, its incidence is on the rise in children and adolescents. This isn't a story meant to scare you, it's a story meant to awaken you. Over the next 25 minutes, we're going to unpack the science, listen to the experts, and most importantly, discover the powerful, protective steps we can all take. Because knowledge isn't just power. In this case, it's prevention. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is colorectal cancer? Simply put, it's cancer that starts in the colon or the rectum. These are the final parts of our digestive system. Like all cancers, it begins when cells start to grow out of control. Often, it starts as a small, non-cancerous growth called a polyp. Think of it like a tiny mushroom growing on the lining of the colon. Over a long period, often many years, some of these polyps can turn into cancer. This slow progression is precisely why, for decades, it's been a disease of older adults. The median age of diagnosis for colorectal cancer in the United States is 66. It takes time for these changes to occur. This is why we have screening tests like colonoscopies that are recommended for people starting around age 45 to find and remove those polyps before they can ever become cancer. This established timeline, this long-held understanding, is what makes the new data so deeply unsettling. If it takes decades for this cancer to develop, how is it possible that we are now seeing it in children as young as 10? This isn't speculation or a fringe theory. This is based on rigorous scientific research. For years, scientists have been tracking a rise in what's called early-onset colorectal cancer, which is in adults under 50. But new research has drilled down even further into the pediatric population, and the findings are a siren call. A major study published for the American Cancer Society by researchers including Rebecca Siegel analyzed cancer incidence data over 2 decades. What they found was shocking. While cancer rates for most age groups were stabilizing or declining, rates for early-onset colorectal cancer were climbing. But here's the most concerning part. They found a significant increase in diagnoses in children and young adolescents. Let me repeat that. A 500% increase. Now, it's crucial to add context. The absolute number of cases in this age group is still very small. It's a rare disease in children, but a 500% increase in a disease this serious is what epidemiologists call a signal, a powerful indicator that something in our environment, something in our lifestyle, has fundamentally changed. Behind every single point on that graph is a child, a family whose world has been turned upside down, a pediatrician who never expected to have to screen for such a disease. The question isn't just if it's happening, the question is why. While there are multiple potential factors, including genetics and other environmental exposures, a growing body of evidence points to one primary culprit: the dramatic and rapid transformation of the Western diet, especially the food we feed our children. To understand this, we need to talk about your gut microbiome. Think of your colon as a bustling rainforest, home to trillions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses. A healthy, diverse microbiome is essential for everything from digestion to immune function. It's our first line of defense, and the single most powerful factor that shapes this internal rainforest is the food we eat. And for the past 40 years, we have been clear-cutting this forest. The key issue lies in the rise of what scientists call ultra-processed foods, UPFS. These aren't just foods with added salt or sugar. UPFs are industrial formulations. They are typically low in fiber and essential nutrients, but high in sugar, unhealthy fats, and a host of additives like emulsifiers and artificial sweeteners. They're designed to be hyper-palatable and cheap, and they now make up nearly 70% of the average American child's diet. So how does this connect to cancer? Researchers believe it works in a few devastating ways. First, the lack of fiber. Fiber from fruits, vegetables, and whole grains is fuel for our good gut bacteria. It also adds bulk and helps move waste through our system quickly, reducing the time that potential cancer-causing agents are in contact with our colon walls. UPFs are virtually devoid of fiber. Second, chronic inflammation. The high sugar content and unhealthy fats in UPFs promote low-grade, chronic inflammation throughout the body, and especially in the gut. We know from decades of research that chronic inflammation is a major driver for the development of cancer. Microbiome mayhem. Animation shows emulsifiers breaking down the protective mucus layer of the gut, allowing bad bacteria to irritate the colon wall directly. And third, direct damage. Studies like those published in the journal Gastroenterology suggest that common food additives like emulsifiers, found in everything from ice cream to bread, can erode the protective mucus lining of the gut. This allows harmful bacteria to get closer to our intestinal cells, triggering even more inflammation and potentially initiating the cellular changes that lead to cancer. You're essentially creating the perfect storm in the gut of a growing child. No protective fiber, constant inflammation, and a damaged gut lining. Over time, this hostile environment can accelerate the very cellular damage that, in previous generations, took a lifetime to accumulate. Hearing all this can feel overwhelming, but here's the good news. The gut is incredibly resilient. The microbiome can begin to change for the better in as little as 24 to 48 hours after improving your diet. The power to protect our children is, quite literally, on our plates. The first step is to consciously reduce ultra-processed foods. You don't have to be perfect overnight. Start small. Swap out that sugary cereal for oatmeal with berries. Replace the soda or juice box with water. Pack a lunch instead of relying on the school cafeteria's most processed options. But even more important than what you remove is what you add. Focus on crowding out the bad with the good. The goal is simple. Feed the good bugs. A child happily munching on baby carrots. A blender making a fruit and vegetable smoothie. A bowl of lentil soup. The phrase "eat the rainbow" spelled out in colorful vegetable letters. That means fiber and lots of it. Fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Aim for variety. Different colors in fruits and veggies mean different nutrients and different types of fiber to feed a wider range of healthy bacteria. This diversity is your child's best defense. Beyond diet, it's about awareness. We need to break the stigma that this is just an old person's disease. Parents, you know your child better than anyone. If your child has persistent, unexplained symptoms, do not dismiss them. Persistent stomach pain or cramping, a chronic change in bowel habits that last blood in the stool, unexplained weight loss, constant fatigue. If you see these signs, advocate for your child. Talk to your pediatrician. Insist on getting answers. In the vast majority of cases, it won't be cancer, but for the few that it is, early detection is everything. This is a call to action, a call to heal their future, the future of our future. The rising tide of colorectal cancer in our children isn't a mystery we are helpless to solve. It's a direct reflection of our changing world. It's a warning, written in our own biology, that our food environment has gone dangerously off track. But we are not helpless. We don't need to wait for a miracle drug or a government policy to change. The change begins in our kitchens, in our grocery carts, in the lunch boxes we pack. It begins with choosing a piece of fruit over a packaged snack. It begins with one more home-cooked meal a week. It begins with teaching our children where real food comes from. Final shot of a family sitting around a dinner table, laughing and sharing a healthy, colorful meal. The shot is warm and inviting. This isn't about fear, it's about a future. A future where our children can grow up with the vibrant health they deserve. A future where a diagnosis of colorectal cancer in a child goes back to being virtually unthinkable. That future is within our reach, and the path to it starts today. Let's protect our future. Share this video with a parent you know. Talk to your family about making one small dietary change this week. For more information, Visit the American Cancer Society or the Colorectal Cancer Alliance.